Rush, let me ask you about this division within the Democratic caucus between Speaker Pelosi and the Significant Four, led by Alexandria. The squad, that's right, led by Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, seemingly to play a race card with Pelosi. What do you make of this situation?
I think this is another example. Do you think at the end of the day, when we get to 2020, when we get to the campaign, the election, they're going to be disunified? They're not. Look, this is the young Turks in the party wanting to have some say-so. It's time-honored. There's nothing new going on here except Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calling Pelosi a racist pig, essentially, which is humorous and funny because you don't normally see Democrats make that allegation about each other. But again, we're looking at this the wrong way. We think we got a great news story here of division in the Democrat Party. The real story with the Democrat Party, you guys, is their utter failure to get rid of Donald Trump. Their frustration is immeasurable, and this is what's driving everything they are doing. They thought they would get rid of Trump before he was inaugurated. Then they came up with the phony collusion thing. They've thrown every weapon they've got at getting rid of Donald Trump, and they have failed. And they are beyond their ability to deal with it. They normally target somebody to take out on the Republican side. They can do it in 2 weeks. They can do it in 6 months, however long they want to spend at it. They can't damage Trump, and it's driving them crazy. They are more irrational than ever. But at the end of the day, I think this is nothing more than something that is amusing to watch. But in terms of the effect it's going to have on the Democrat Party, negligible. The effect on the Democrat Party is going to be from Donald Trump and the Republicans because we're the opponents. When you get to the end of things here, Cortez is not a forever opponent of Pelosi, maybe internally, but not when it comes to the big agenda items. They're going to end up on the same page at the appropriate time. If they don't, if I'm wrong about this, I'd be glad to be wrong, but I don't think I am on this.
Well, let's see how it all turns out. In the meantime, Rush, I had heard, I've been reading that the Betsy Ross T-shirt that you came up with is flying off the shelves because it is benefiting Tunnels for Towers, which helps all sorts of families who have lost a member. There it is right there, law enforcement. This all got started before the 4th of July when Nike announced they were going to put the Betsy Ross flag on some shoes, and Colin Kaepernick expressed his displeasure with it. For a variety of reasons. And then you came out, and there's the shoe right there. And now you have put this particular flag on a T-shirt, and you wonder, what did Betsy Ross ever do to anybody?
You know, there's an overarching thing to this, too. And you can look at the American women's World Soccer team as an illustration of this, too. I'm not convinced, by the way, that Nike didn't dredge all this up as a PR stunt. But even if they did, here's the point. You have people, in the case of the soccer team, they want to be on the team. They want to represent America. They go out and perform. They achieve something magnificent athletically. What do they do with the platform? Start trashing America. Start beating up on the country they claimed they wanted to represent. Kaepernick looks at a pair of tennis shoes. I don't like that flag. That flag stands for this and that. Nike's, okay, we'll cancel it. I'm tired of this with no pushback, Steve. There are millions of Americans who do not respect and do not think it's cool to constantly trash America and blame America when the people doing it have become incredibly wealthy. They've had ever and never-ending opportunities. They have had more opportunity than anybody in the world over, and they still persist in wanting to trash and criticize and blame America. And some of us are just fed up with it. So I went to my wife when the Nike thing happened. I said, how quickly could we turn a T-shirt around that featured Betsy Ross, stand up for Betsy Ross, to give people a vehicle to push back? Because there are a lot of people out there that feel a little powerless. They're as livid about this as I am, but what can they do about it? So we've given them an opportunity. We partnered with Tunnel to Towers on this. To make sure people knew this was not a pursuit of profit on the part of me or my organization or my program. We do everything here. We fulfill them, we order them, we design them, we sell them. In 4 days this week, it's the largest selling item that we have ever had.
Wow.
It's the single greatest revenue generating item we've ever had in the RushLimbaugh.com store. People have just glommed onto this, I like to say, like nothing else that we've ever offered. It's really been fulfilling because people want the opportunity to push back, if nothing else, for self-satisfaction about this, because it's getting tiresome. It's getting tiresome to listen to a never-ending parade of people on the left rip this country, criticize this country, blame this country, and when none of what they're saying is applicable. This is not the land of grievance. This is the land of opportunity. This is the land of wealth and prosperity like nowhere has ever been in American or world history, and we're tired of it. And so this was just a simple little way for people to push back and benefit a charity that does great things for law enforcement, first responders, military, and people who suffered greatly at 9/11.
Rush, thank you for remembering all of them and doing this.
That's wonderful. Right. And I heard Rush say that there are a bunch of websites that are selling bootleg, fake Rush Limbaugh material.
You know how many there are? At the end of the day yesterday were 70 knockoffs, 70 different people trying to make customers believe they're selling my... 70. I mean, can you believe how popular this thing has become? That's one of the great illustrations. No, our legal department's on these people. You have no fear about it. No. So, but they're trying to sell it as though it's official. As though it's
exactly.
And my signature on it.
And the only place to get the official one to help Tunnel for Towers is RushLimbaughShowStore.com.
Right.
Thanks, Rush.
Right.
Thank you, Rush.
Or you can go just to the website and check on the store tab.
Okay. And that's
thank you guys very much.
Have
a great week.
This has been quite an interesting and very spicy back and forth here as she responds to criticism from members of her own party who are now suggesting that their feud with the speaker is connected to the color of their skin. Freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez telling the Washington Post, quote, I kind of thought that she was keeping the progressive flank at more of an arm's distance in order to protect more moderate members, which I understood. But the persistent singling out, it got to a point where I thought it was just outright disrespectful. The explicit singling out of newly elected women of color, said AOC, as she is known. Here now, House Republican Conference Chairwoman Liz Cheney. Good to see you this evening, Chairwoman. Thank you for being here. What's your reaction to what's going on there?
Well, thank you for having me, Martha. I think what you're watching is really the unraveling of the Democratic Party as we've known it in the past. You have a situation where you've got this very radical wing of the House Democrats, and the Speaker has attempted many times to try to sort of keep everybody under control by, in the past, moving very far left, and you see now that that's not working for her. But what you do have is a situation where the Democratic Party, both here in the House as well as the candidates that they've put up for president, has become a party of socialists. They've become a party that are advocating this far left set of positions. And, you know, I think on some level, Speaker Pelosi knows that those are not positions that the vast majority of the American people agree with. She knows that the vast majority of the American people do not want to give free government-provided health care to all illegal immigrants. But we know that that is what the Democrats in the House, many of them want to do. We know it's what the Democratic presidential candidates want to do. And so she's in a very difficult situation, but she's dealing with a situation where she's being drugged, the whole party is being drugged very far to the radical left fringe.
Well, you know, it's interesting that this conversation, because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said today she does not believe that Nancy Pelosi is racist, and yet there is this pull towards the identity politics of this by bringing that up. It's a very loaded weapon to bring that up in many ways. And here is Representative Jayapal, who backs Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She says, we women of color have faced this for such a long time. We're in a body of mainly old white men. You don't get to be here without having dealt with that, most people. What do you make of that?
Look, I think we all have an obligation and a responsibility to our constituents, to the people who sent us here, to the American people, to make arguments, to make our case, to stand for what we believe in, based on substance, based on policy. We all have the responsibility to debate based on standing up for facts. And I think that falling back into identity politics too often is an excuse for not standing up for facts and substance. On the Republican side, you will see us make sure, and I can tell you this as the Republican conference chair, someone who's responsible for a large part of our messaging, that we're going to be having these debates based on substance. We know that the American people do not want this to be a socialist nation.